This is Kenny Benjamin for The American Man at www.theamericanman.com. Today begins a series of conversations that I call Identity 101. It's about who we are, how we become who we are, and what it means to be who we are, and what we want, how that might be different. Chapter 1 in Identity 101 is called Positioning. And it relates to the cultural ideas about what it means to be a boy and what it means to be a girl, and how we are given those ideas from the minute we come out of the womb, and how those ideas shape what's possible for us, how we act in the world, our expectations of how people react to us, and what we want from ourselves. So positioning is about these culturally and socially authorized ways of being either a boy or a girl. I'll give you an example, right? And we all know these examples. We live in this culture. We've been raised in this culture. When we find out that, we're pregnant, or you find out your wife is pregnant, or your girlfriend or whomever, the first thing you do is you're excited. You wonder about, is it going to be a boy or a girl? And when you find out what it's going to be, and you start thinking about what you want the room to look like, what ideas come to your head? And how free are you to choose these ideas is the question. This is the idea of positioning, right? There are these culturally and socially authorized ways that we understand what it means to be a girl and a boy, right? A lot of people would say, well, we're just born that way, right? A boy has a penis, a girl has a vagina, there's a chromosomal difference, we're different. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Well, it's a nice idea, I suppose. It's an interesting idea, but the problem with that idea is, one, there's no scientific evidence, none, to suggest that a boy likes blue and a girl will like pink, that a boy will play with a truck and that a girl will play with a doll. There's no DNA reality to that. That's all about cultural positioning, right? That's all about how we've come to make sense of and construct meaning around what it means to be a boy or a girl. And there's evidence of this everywhere. So a boy comes out of the womb, right? He's labeled a boy. His father, his mother, his family, that's all at the hospital, goes at him. There is some evidence, there have been studies about this, to suggest that we treat a boy differently than we treat a girl. We're more intense with the boy, we're rougher with the boy, we tend to play with him in a stronger way, and we tend to hold girls softer, more gentle. Why is that, right? We are positioned. Culture has supported these ideas that boys and girls are different in these specific ways, which again is not abstract, right? Because it leads to practices. The practice of roughhousing with a 3-year-old boy and sitting quietly and brushing the hair with a 3-year-old girl, which is so common in our culture, whether we believe in these traditional distinctions or whether we're trying to be more modern parents and take up a broader sense of what it means, we still fall into these patterns. We still fall into these ways of being because they're like books on a shelf. They're authorized. They're accessible to us. We take them off, We spend the weekend with our 3-year-old daughter, and the likelihood is, for most of us, there are exceptions to this, of course, but still, the reality is, for most of us, we tend to do something that we think of as more to do girl-like, right? We tend to be less, especially as dads, we tend to be less aggressive with our little toddler girls than we are with our boys, where we're roughhousing, we're throwing them around. And again, this is not some abstract, innocuous idea. Oh, well, he's a boy and she's a girl, etc., etc. There are practices, there are implications to this positioning that's supported. And how does positioning get supported? It gets supported by the culture, right? So we send our children to preschool. Boys all come out of this cultural idea of being rough and strong and defining their value by that strength, by that dominance. So that gets negotiated in preschool playgrounds, in elementary school playgrounds, and you see the kind of intensity and roughhouseness, that survival of the fittest mentality gets taken up by boys and becomes seen then by them and their peers as, well, this is what it means to have value as a boy, so I must engage in these practices, these ways of being. I must take these actions in my life that support this way of being. And then this gets supported as we grow older. We go into schools. There's all kinds of evidence and studies on this. And then we become adults, right, in the workplace, in jobs, and men act in certain ways. And often we say, well, God, they're being obnoxious, they're being aggressive. But generally with men, when they're aggressive, that's considered a good quality, right? Men consider it good. Women often consider it good, although that's a whole other conversation, which we'll have at another time. Right? And then women have taken up these qualities that we define as masculinity in the workplace to be successful, to get ahead, to be, defined as valuable, right? But when a woman takes up a lot of these qualities, she's still seen as, too aggressive or too something. And there are all kinds of words and languages that we use to demonize women for taking up these traditional masculine qualities that are still, when used by men, seen as strong, successful, and meaningful. We'll continue this conversation in our next chat.